Hey everyone, good evening. Hope you guys are getting ready to enjoy a beautiful Christmas, beautiful holidays, whatever you celebrate, and a wonderful new year because it's that time of the day. We're a few hours away from December 24th, and it's a big holiday all over the world. The world really halts in most of the regions and most of the countries. There's almost everyone celebrating Christmas, or how you say it here, Feliz Navidad. Feliz means happy, but Feliz, it's like Merry Christmas. Happy holidays, Feliz Navidad. And how am I finding Argentina so far? I got here Thursday evening or Thursday in the AM. So I've technically been here in more or less 3 full days. Although I haven't been able to do much, and at the same time I have done so much, I just feel like my head is still, pounding. Although I don't have a headache and I'm so happy to be here, but I'm still trying to take care of some things, in Miami. So I'm still trying to get some work done and I'm still trying to get settled in. But for now, have a nice roof over my head, good food in my stomach, and I'm so happy because I've already been able to go to events in Buenos Aires, and it's one of the things that I miss the most, going out to social events. Been here literally 3 days and I've already gone to 3 events. Sorry, the cars are loud here. I'm right off the main street, and I've seen a lot of people that I know. I've met a lot of new people, and that to me is the beauty of Buenos Aires. To me, it's the friendliest city on earth. Like, if you know how to break the ice and get into these communities, into these social events, once you're in there, people are going to talk to you. People are going to approach you. People are going to be nice to you. You just have to make yourself available. Sometimes you may have to say the first word, but I'm pretty shy sometimes until I get to know the people, until I get to know the group. But just be, cordial. Just go up to people, introduce yourself, and that could go a long way. Just the simple icebreakers are usually, hey, what's your name? Where are you from? Because there, especially in the settings that I go to, a lot of people are traveling from all over the world. They're either tourists or they relocated here to Argentina from another country. So they're expats or whatever you want to use, whatever phrase you want to use. But that could be a nice little icebreaker. And how long have you been living here? Do you like it? All sorts of stuff. There's no wrong way to communicate as long as you do so respectfully. The key is just to talk and also to listen, but just communicate and everything else will just flow. That's the way I find it. Don't overthink things. Just be yourself, be honest, be open, and be kind. And that's usually all that takes. So as far as pricing, I know it's on everyone's radar, cost of living in Argentina. And as I've said before, if you look through my previous videos, even all of last year, it was one of the biggest topics of discussion that Argentina had gotten very expensive. Even a year ago, people were saying that. And now, from my understanding and from my little observation, it has even gotten much more expensive than last year. If you compare this year's prices to last year's prices, last year was cheap. Last year was a bargain. Because now, lots of things are expensive. Now, is it still affordable? It depends. If you make some adjustments, and depends what cost of living you're comparing it to, depends your budget, depends where you're relocating from or where you're visiting from. Like I like to tell people, Argentina has gotten much more expensive, but it's still so much cheaper than the United States. Now you have the naysayers, no way, groceries here are more expensive than United States, blah, blah, blah. Of course, if you compare Palermo, Soho, or Palermo, Hollywood, or one of the most expensive areas like Puerto Madero to a little suburban area or Idaho or a little city, a little state in the United States where things are drastically cheaper, of course, in that region of the United States, it would be cheaper for the most part. But even then, I doubt overall cost of living in any city of the United States would be cheaper than here if you're making a fair comparison. Now, if you're comparing, this major city, which is Buenos Aires, to a major city like Miami, New York City, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, places like that, then you would see that Buenos Aires is drastically cheaper. Now, that being said, like I mentioned, certain fruits, certain vegetables, certain products are much more expensive here, probably even than United States. For overall shopping experience and overall cost of living, let me take that back. Overall cost of living, it's so much cheaper here. You're not going to find a studio apartment in the United States for $400 a month. You're not going to find a one bedroom for under $1,000. And here you could easily find a one bedroom apartment between $500-$600 a month, probably a little less if you look. You could find a studio starting at $300 to $500 a month, depending the area, the neighborhood, depending the amenities, depending, if it's on a high floor, lower floor. But apartments have not really gone up too much. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there trying to exploit or trying to make the best of their situation and make money out of temporary rentals. That's always the case, and I respect that. That's fair. It's your property, it's your agreement. Whatever, you're doing to make that money, that's fine. But you guys don't have to settle for $1,000 studio. I would never pay $1,000 for a studio. You could look. I've seen some for less. I would settle around $400 to $600. I think that's a fair range, but I'm looking for a very nice studio or one bedroom with at least a gym or a pool or some type of terrace or a barbecue area. I'm looking for something very specific, and if I do find that, I will pay for that much. But yeah, obviously everything has gone up, including apartments, but everything has gone up in every country, in every part of the world. And United States, it's bananas. I just spent 7 months in Miami, which is my hometown, and it's unrecognizable. Every year things go up more and more and more. Everything just becomes much more expensive, and your monthly wages, it's pretty hard just to get by. I mean, I could get by, and I have some friends that could get by, but you don't have enough money to save to travel, to put into your savings, to put into your retirement, or just to buy yourself, or to take a nice vacation. So unless you make lots of sacrifices. That's the case here as well for many of the locals, many of the people, even though wages have increased, inflation, did go crazy, and items and cost of living increased as well. So it's basically, they're still in the same boat, because although most of the locals here are getting paid more than they were getting paid last year, the cost of living has gone up even much more. So it's probably even worse situation for them. But I can only speak for myself. United States is expensive. Now, shopping here, there's still items that are extremely cheap in comparison. Remember, I'm comparing the prices to what they are in the United States, not to what they were here last year or what they're here now. Meat, chicken, meat products are still fairly cheap compared to most other countries, as well as wine. Wine, I've heard it before, I've said it before, wine is cheaper than water here. Obviously, I'm not saying you're gonna get 6 liters of wine for $1, but a 6-liter bottle, which is that big jug of water, costs around $3. The cheapest one you could probably find is 3,000 pesos, and the cheapest wine you could find is probably around $1. You get a lot less, probably 750 milliliters, but it's still incredible that you could, wine is cheaper than water. That's pretty interesting. And meat, depends the cuts of meat as well, but I saw an advertisement today for pata y muslo. That just means leg and thighs. So if you're getting chicken, you know, it's not the deboned chicken. This chicken comes, you know, leg and thigh, comes with both bones and they're connected. You go get them cut, and the skin costs around, for 3 kilos, which I believe 3 kilos makes up 6 pounds. That costs you around $7 to $8 on special. I think average price would be around $8 to $10, but 6 pounds of chicken for $8 to $10, it's a good price. Even though chicken in the United States, it's pretty fair priced, unless you're getting some premium, you know, or range free or some, you know, organic chicken. All those specialty products are usually much more expensive. Obviously, I'm just telling you the cheapest options out there. And meat, I haven't really been able to go out and buy meat, but I've seen some of the prices. Meat prices average for around $4 and $5 a pound. Here they all go by kilos, and I've seen meat 6,000-7,000 pesos per kilo. You know, some of the higher end meat may go up to 12,000-15,000 a kilo, but you got to remember there's 2 pounds in a kilo, more or less. So it's still pretty a fair price considering in the United States. Don't know what state you're from. I know my short times that I visited California, I was surprised that the meat was actually pretty cheap in some certain parts. But in Miami, like a nice steak on special would run you $15 a pound. So for those of you here in Argentina, that would mean $30 a kilo. And I've never seen meat here in Argentina for $30 a kilo. That's like Don Julio meat. So still pretty decent price. And as well as some cookies, some snacks are still fairly priced. And today I went and I got some pet food because I saw an abandoned cat. So I got some pet food, and each bag was 1.5 kilos. And they had a special. If you bought both bags, you got them for 2,000 pesos each. So 2,000 pesos is a little under $2, because currently $1 is, I'll slow down. I'm trying to do this as slow as possible, that way you guys get it. But this is off the top of the head. There's no, you know, prompt. There's no keynotes. This is just my nightly recap, you know, that I don't do every night. Don't get me wrong. I just wanted to tell you things that are just fresh off my head. That way you guys get a basic idea of what the cost of living is in the current state here in Buenos Aires. I'm telling you, just listen to the whole video. Don't get mad and right away be, oh no, it's the most expensive place. It's cheap. No. Overall, it's gotten a lot more expensive, but it's not a fair comparison to say it's cheaper in the United States. And that's actually false information. Obviously, you could find a city in the United States which is cheaper than Buenos Aires, but I'm talking about general consensus, you know, on average. You know, you just like there's other cities and other provinces which are much cheaper than Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires, from everything that I've heard, is one of the most expensive regions in the country. Obviously, there's certain parts that are also a high tourist attraction, like Bariloche, parts of Mendoza, and other regions, which are probably just as expensive as Buenos Aires or much more expensive. But this is the 8th biggest country in the world. There's lots of places where cost of living is half of what it is here in Buenos Aires. So there's other cheaper areas here as well. So if you're going to compare Palermo, Belgrano, Puerto Madero, San Telmo, like the popular tourist trap or tourist, not just tourist traps, the most trending cities, you know, the most hip area, to make a fair comparison, like I stated earlier. You can't compare that to a town no one's ever heard of, no one's ever lived in. Compare it to Boston. You know, compare it to Miami. Compare it to Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, you know, New York, you know. Otherwise, compare a little no-name town here to a no-name town there, and it'll probably be still cheaper in Argentina. So, certain products, more expensive here. Overall cost of living, cheaper. Where was I at? $1 today. I just looked at the blue rate. The official rate Official, right now they're pretty close to the blue rate, so not that huge of a difference. It's probably, I would say, around a 10 to 15 cent difference per dollar. I haven't been able to do the math. I think around less, all right? I think around anywhere between 9 to 12 cents difference on average from the official rate, which is the exchange rate the government goes by, and the blue rate, which is the unofficial blue dollar rate, which Western Union uses close to the MEP. Doesn't use the MEP, but this is just going to confuse you. Basically, exchange houses will give you the blue dollar rate. Just make it that simple. Exchange houses or the exchange groups, they'll give you the blue rate, which is a little higher than the official rate when you're exchanging your euros or your dollars for the local currency, which is pesos, ARS, Argentine pesos. This is all mumbo jumbo to you, but that's what it is. This is very accurate. So the official rate today was 1,055 pesos per dollar. I'm going by dollar. If you use euros, look it up on Google. It's slightly higher. You get a little more. You get a little more pesos per euro. And Canadian, you get a little less. So basically, you get around 10% less Canadian dollars. And the blue rate, which is the unofficial rate that you would get if you go change your dollars at an exchange house, today was 11.55. So you were getting official just around 1,000, a little over 1,000 per dollar, and unofficial close to 1,200 per dollar. So 11.55 pesos per dollar. And that being said, yesterday we had some gourmet empanadas. That means from a nice restaurant. We ordered to go, and those were 2,300 pesos each. I just made a video short of it. Those are 2,300 pesos each, which equates to a little under $2 each, or just at $2 each, which again, a gourmet empanada for $2 is a bargain. I don't know what world you guys think that you're gonna get something amazing for $1. Not anymore. Not in 99% of the countries. Might be some parts of Asia, maybe, but go to any Latin American country, you're not gonna get something amazing for $1. Now here in Argentina, you could still find some empanadas for a little less than $1. You know, at those little shops that sell nothing but empanadas, but those are machine made, and the filling isn't the best. Do they taste good? Yes. Do I still eat them? Yes. If I'm out and about and I've had nothing to eat, I'll get 2 or 3 of them, because you could get 2 or 3 for under $2. You know, I've seen some even as cheap as 50 cents, 60 cents each. So you could probably even get 3 or 4 for $2. So, but these that we had yesterday, I just posted a short video of it. These were $2 each, and understandably, these were handmade. They had, the filling was carne a cuchillo. That means it wasn't ground beef. It's basically they cook the steak and they cut it by knife, and then they fill it, you know, obviously add other ingredients like olives, chopped olives, pieces of egg, and onions. Depends, you know, where your region or where your empanadas are from. But they're very good and oven baked. So pretty decent. And drinks. Sorry, I'm going to cut this. I meant to do this a very short video, but I went on. Drinks. Went to a few bars already. The average beer price at a bar, I would say, is $4. And to be more fair, because I'm going to nicer areas, $4 to $5 a beer at tourist areas. Not to say that some of the higher end bars won't charge you $7 or $8 a beer, because it would happen. But I'm talking about average price. I went to 4 or 5 bars. Some of them had the beers, you know, for 4,500 pesos, which I already told you what it is. That's around $4. Some of them had it for 5,500 pesos, so which is around $5. And drinks the same. Some of them had them for 5,000 pesos, which is around $4, $4.20, depending what rate you got. And some of them had the drinks for 6, 7, 8,000 pesos, which a drink, at a hip area for seven, anywhere from $6 to $8 is reasonable. You're talking about tourist trap areas that bring in a lot of tourists, a lot of locals, a lot of hip areas. Miami, Los Angeles, at a hip bar, at a popular area, you're not gonna find a drink for $7. Sorry, that's usually what the tip is. Tip is usually $5 United States at a high-end bar, because a drink is gonna run you $15-20, and I'm being reasonable. I've been to places around South Beach, around Coral Gables, and Wynwood that charged me $25 a drink plus tax, which in Florida is 7%, plus tip, which tip, for dinner, people like to go by the 15% rule, but most of us in the United States do not leave 15%. Like, it's very hard to leave under 20% because we're programmed that way. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I like it. I don't. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying I do it. Like, my average tip for a drink is 25 to 50%, because even if my drink costs $4 in the United States, I leave $1. My rule of thumb for a drink is $1 each drink for simple drinks, like for something simple, like a rum and coke, or gin tonic, or just opening a beer or serving me a beer on tap, I leave $1 or a glass of wine. Now, a more elaborate drink like a margarita, mojito, mojito, they have to crush the mint. They have to get up in there, shake the ice, stuff like that. For drinks like that, I tip a little more. I tip more accordingly. But this is up to you. I will never force a tip. I think restaurant owners, I think corporations, I think businesses should pay their employees well. But unfortunately, in the United States, we are raised, with that mentality that we have to tip well. And 15% at a restaurant is usually if the service was bad, if there was a problem, if they took too long, if it was slow. If you're pretty upset at the service, then you leave 15%. But if everything was excellent, I personally don't know anyone that leaves less than 20-25%. So even if the bill is $100, $200, sometimes you even leave a little more because you came with a bigger party. But that's besides the fact, besides the point. I was just saying, comparing here, I heard some people complain, beers, a pint is $8. I was like, it's not. Is there 20-30 places that charge $8 for a pint? I'm sure there is. Not the spots I've been to. And it's not the average price. Some of them you could find pints for $3 or $4. Some of them, 5 or 6. 8, I'm sure there's a handful, but it's not the average price. Same thing with drinks, same thing with wines. Just keep an eye out on specials, keep an eye out on happy hours. If you go to a very beautiful place, be ready to pay a little premium, be ready to pay a little more. But don't find yourself in the top spots and complain because you're paying a little more. Because the top spots in the United States, I told you, they're going to run you $20, $25 a drink. I've easily paid $15 a beer, $12 a beer. After tax and tip, came out to $15. So some of these places in Miami, in the United States already, have gratuity forced on you, included. And I'm not talking about 15%. I've seen many places in the United States include 18%. Usually back in the days, only for parties of 6 or more. Meaning, if you went to a restaurant with a group of 6 people or more, they would include the gratuity 18% on the tab, because you usually have more than one waiter or server attending your table. But now, recently, and for these past few years, even if you go to a bar, some places, not all places, but some places in the United States, even if you just got one drink, especially some of the higher end places, the tip's already included in the tab. Not saying in the price, saying they include the tip. When you ask, to pay, you look at the receipt, the beer was $10, the tip, they include 18% tip, which will be $1.80, and then the tax on top of the tip. So tax includes the tip amount. So you're even paying more tax because they're including the tip. It's just this big old weird nonsense, and a beer ends up costing you many places $15. I like Flanagan's, I like, Ale House, I like places where I could still get a $4 or $5 beer. But at the end of the day, even when you go to a bar, United States, if you eat a burger and have 2 or 3 beers, you're easily spending $30, $40 easy, minimum, bare minimum. So you can still go to a nice restaurant here for that. Expensive restaurants here would run you $40, $50. Not the top, not the best, but I'm saying expensive restaurants, $40, $50. But you can still find dinners for $10, $15, a nice dinner at a bodegon or at a neighborhood restaurant. Well, I'm talking up a storm, guys. Make sure to tune in. I'm recording a lot of cool videos. So I'm gonna, once I have my place, once I settle in, I'm gonna have time to edit and really dedicate myself to this channel. But I've been here in Buenos Aires, Argentina for a few days now, and I plan on staying minimum 6-7 months. I plan on living here, but I may travel. I may travel sometime next year, but I'll be back. But you guys appreciate the content, just make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps. You can share with your friends that are thinking about Argentina. That helps too. And ultimately, if you want to make a small donation to the video, you could. My Venmo is at MiamiHeater. My Cashapp is $MiamiHeater. And there's also a website you could visit, which is www.buymeacoffee.com/ and it's the name of my channel, Expeditions. So not Expat Expeditions, just Expat, DITIONS. I'll leave all those links in the description of this channel. So you just hit the dots and you press description, or just hit that little chat icon, where you're supposed to leave a comment. I'll leave that information in the comment section in case you want to check it out. But thank you guys for watching. Enjoy. Have a beautiful, beautiful holidays. Feliz Navidad. Felicidades. Que pasen una linda Nochebuena y un feliz año si no los veo. Gracias. Un beso grande desde Buenos Aires. Los quiero mucho. Chao.